Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Alia Yasir. I am a board certified associate behavior analyst and an international behavior analyst. I will be the main instructor through your IBA coursework. Also, we have my associates with us here today, Mr. Abdullah Pasha. He's a master's in special education and has completed his IBA coursework and is ready to go for IBA exam. And we have Ms. Asma Ayaz with us. She's currently completing her master's in applied behavior analysis from Mary Baldwin University, US. We have Ms. Sara Esraj too on our team. She's a master's in psychology going for her MPhil, and she has also completed her IBA coursework and going to sit for IBA exam soon. On behalf of all team members, I would like to warmly welcome you all. Applied behavior analysis is a very dynamic and exciting field and a highly effective form of therapy. Most of our students who have started their journey with us today are either IBTs or RBTs. It is a dream of every behavior therapist to acquire further knowledge in the field of applied behavior analysis and hopefully become independent practitioner one day. We tell our IBTs or RBTs that supervision is a necessary component in your practice. But actually finding a qualified supervisor is very hard. It is very easy to find 40-hour training certificate courses, but it is very hard to go for a more detailed coursework in behavior analysis, all because of high charges and affordability. Most of the ABA coursework providers are from abroad, mainly from US. So our behavior therapists end up being stuck at one place and not able to further their career as we have failed to guide them and provide them with necessary detailed training options in the past. But this has changed now because of the IBAO and their global efforts for disseminating ABA. Its education is now within reach of many people across the globe. We are now able to provide a detailed coursework in applied behavior analysis locally in Pakistan in very reasonable and affordable charges, all thanks to the IBAO. Now, many aspiring students will be able to fulfill their dream of becoming independent ABA practitioners, inshallah. And many people like me have the privilege of being your instructor today. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to warmly welcome the man himself, Dr. Michael Mueller, who has made personal efforts, and because of those efforts, we all have gathered here today. Dr. Michael Mueller has so many accomplishments that they are difficult to summarize in words, but I will try to give a brief introduction before you. Dr. Michael Mueller is the director and founder of the IBAO. He's also the co-owner and director of behavioral services for Southern Behavioral Group in Atlanta, Georgia, and Stimulus Publications. Dr. Michael Mueller has authored 11 books, including the Assessment of Functional Living Skills, AFOLS, as we know today, a 7-book assessment and teaching series to guide in the assessment and teaching of everyday practical life skills for learners of all ages. Dr. Mueller has published 22 research articles and 8 book chapters. He has served on the editorial board or provided reviews for several prestigious behavior analysis and psychology journals. Dr. Michael Mueller, thank you so much for joining in today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that introduction. It's funny because it's not funny. It's still odd, I guess, to hear people talk so nicely about you. So thank you. Thank you personally, Alia, and to your organization, Behavioral Support for Exceptional Needs. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Happy New Year to all of you. So this is important. It's an important group. It's an important meeting, and again, it's an honor to say a few words to you. So where to begin? You've chosen the path to become certified behavior analysts, and it's an honor and a privilege for me to be with you as you start that journey. And it is a journey. It's not a race. There is no finish line. There are important milestones to be met along the way, but the journey never ends. Being here today, you've already met the first milestone. You started the journey. So certification should not be looked at as the end, right? Certification is what the field really has decided are the minimum requirements to practice ethically and independently. It's a huge milestone. I remember getting mine. And when you look back, I think you'll look back to think that this, when you achieve the certification, it really did mark the beginning, not the end of your journey. So it's an exciting time. I've been in behavior analysis and ABA for more than 25 years, and I honestly continue to learn things every day. My personal journey is still going strong. But what you'll learn over these next 11 months will allow you to have the basis and the theoretical understanding to continue to learn throughout your career. So even though this is the first couple steps on your path, they are some of the most important. And because they're the most important, I'm going to try to just give you some advice, right? That to make this as meaningful as possible. As you begin your studies, make this commitment to yourself, right? All of you, each and every one of you, make this commitment to yourself. Ask questions. Ask questions when you don't understand something. Ask questions when something that you've been told seems to conflict with something else that you've learned, because this happens. Ask questions about why we are doing the things that we're doing. Ask for data, right? And trust me, when I say that if you have a question, if someone has a question, someone else has that same question too. So don't be prideful or embarrassed, right? Put yourself out on that ledge and make a habit of this, right? When you do this, others will do this and they'll ask questions. And their questions will lead to information and clarification and understanding about things that nobody would have received unless those same questions were asked. And it's important to remember, you're not supposed to know this stuff yet. That's why you're going through these courses. So don't sit in the classes, right, pretending you know it already. You're not supposed to, right? If you're confused, speak up, ask questions, and just make a habit of questioning everything throughout this process. It'll pay off. So next, I would encourage you all to read, read, and read. Consume the literature of our field. Make this a habit. Do this every day if you can. Many articles that give the best information are online. They're free. They're PDFs. The entire history, the clinical aspects of our field anyway, are in these articles, and there is absolutely no substitute for knowing the details and the results of these real-world studies. What you're going to get in the next 11 months is theory and practice and some literature and some data. The field has had behavior analytic journals since 1968. Many journals have come after that, and they publish 4 or 5 times a year, some of them. There are thousands and thousands of research and other articles that are out there that you're not going to get exposed to in these classes. Take it upon yourself and read, 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 and consume the literature and the research of our field. Next, when you get certified, you're going to be new at different things, but be confident. Be confident. You're going to experience 1,000 instances in your career where you're faced with new situations. That's part of the process. That's part of the deal we get. It might be a new procedure, might be a new situation. Something's going to be new. So fall back on what you're learning right now. Trust your training. Trust what you read, right? Read up on these similar procedures if you're not totally sure. Make appropriate decisions, apply your knowledge, trust yourself, be confident, make some informed decisions, and then implement these things. No one, I haven't, your leaders here in this coursework, they haven't ever been in a situation where they know everything. Nobody knows everything. We're constantly being faced with situations that we're not sure about. So you have to rely on your training. You have to rely on your confidence. You're going to be experts, right? And that's meaningful. With confidence and being an expert we also need to be humble, right? We need to participate with others. We need to respect other professions and other professionals. This doesn't mean we have to bend our own, behavioral theoretical lens and see through theirs. That's not what it means. But we need to be respectful when we're working together in teams. And very importantly, when we're in teams, you are ABA to those other team members. You're the representation of our field. How you behave, how you speak, how you act will attract others to the benefits of this wonderful application of our science and change opinions for the better for those around you. And our field needs that right now. Next, I would just encourage you to not take shortcuts. When you become certified as international behavior analyst, you'll be practicing on your own and you'll be free to make your own decisions. Make decisions by the book. Do the appropriate assessments. Design programs using single case experimental designs. Collect the right data, graph data. Make decisions based on this. Don't ever skip these kind of small details. Do these things literally every single time you work. Start this way and never change this about your practice. There is a shortage of certified professionals around the world and in Pakistan. That's why the IBAO was born. But this is a historic day there because you are the next wave. You are literally the future. You're the future educators of ABA. You're the future researchers and authors in ABA. You're the future leaders in our field and the ones who will bring up the next wave of candidates behind you. And I want you to feel this weight. I do. I want you all to feel the responsibility of this and take it seriously. Do what you can to grow IBAs and IBTs in Pakistan. Be the supervisors of tomorrow. Like she mentioned in her remarks, there's not enough of us. Take on that role. Be the mentors. Pick up those behind you and help them succeed. So then there's 2 waves and 3 waves and 4 waves. And everybody help the next group come up. And part of growing the field is to serve the field. Volunteer. Serve the field. Grow the community there. Educate those in the community. Talk to parents, school teachers, government officials, and anybody else who will listen, really, and tell them about the wonderful things that ABA can and has done, right? Serve in associations. Hopefully that will be an opportunity very soon. Network with other professionals. Expand ABA where you are and do everything you can to grow it. Be part of the community of behavior analysis by participating in it in any way that you can. And importantly, let your own voice be heard. All of you very soon will be certified international behavior analysts. Your voice is important. Pakistan needs it and the world needs it. So hopefully these little bits of advice aren't so esoteric at this point as to be non-meaningful, and hopefully they resonate with you where you are and as you go forward on this journey. So thank you again for a small bit of your time this morning. Thank you again, Ms. Alia, and to everyone at Behavior Supports for Exceptional Needs. And thank you for supporting IBAO. And please know that IBAO is here with you every step of the way. I'm very proud of you personally for the first step that you've taken. IBAO is proud of all of you. And it's kind of neat, but the world is watching. And every little ABA community out there, all over this planet, is watching and proud of the way that you're building and growing and taking the correct steps to earn certifications by adopting IBAO's culturally relevant and ethical practice standards. It seems like a far off destination sometimes when you're first starting, but everybody who is above you in this field, everybody who's a little bit more advanced in this field, started exactly where you are and not very long ago. So keep that in mind. And congratulations, really, congratulations, and thank you for allowing me to share the beginning of your journey with you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Miller. And, it's an honor for me as well. And number one question which I get from the candidates is that, is it going to be difficult coursework? So this question I would like to ask you, is the exam difficult? And what is the pattern of that exam?
The exam would be extremely difficult if you don't learn the information before you take the exam. And that's why it's designed. The exam is the gatekeeper. We want it to be extremely difficult for those who aren't ready to practice, right? I mean, that's when the exam is doing its job, people who ace it, people who do very, very well, it's obvious that they know the information and they're ready. And when people fail it miserably, it's very obvious also that they're not ready. And we don't want them within the bubble of people who the community says this person can practice independently. We want people to be knowledgeable. So the exam does its job when it kind of separates those in the middle area, right? That's the difficult part of the exam, is knowing where that line is. And the line's been set through all the appropriate psychometric and other methods that go into that, and it's doing a good job. You don't want it to be easy, right? The test taker wants it to feel easy, and the test taker will have it feel easy because they're prepared. But we don't want our community, we don't want certified behavior analysts to include everybody. That's why this is so important. The people on this meeting right now have decided, I want to do it the right way. I want to study. I want to dedicate the next 11 months to studying this, to get ready for it, to receive the right supervision, to get practice experience so I can go out by myself and take new challenges. It's important. So it won't be difficult if you prepare yourself well. And I think that's the way everybody here, should be looking at it. And that's why it's important to learn the information. That's why the remarks about asking questions was important. You don't want to just sit back and let this kind of wash over you. Some of it is difficult, I think, and some of it requires reading things multiple times and getting clarification and, really, really digging in. If you only attend the classes, I don't know if you'll be prepared. You have to not just listen, you know what I mean? You have to do that part, but you can't just do that part. You really have to take it on yourself to understand these concepts, apply the concepts, think about them, and really, really, make it part of your life. And if you do that, the exam won't be that difficult. The exam, like the particulars of the exam, there are 150 multiple choice questions. You have 3 hours to do this. It's completed by remote proctoring application, the same things that are used in university and other, other online coursework providers, so that your computer's camera and microphone serve as the proctor. So you can take the test at midnight, at 7 o'clock in the morning, in your bedroom, in your living room, wherever you have a quiet, austere environment. So it allows a lot of flexibility. You don't have to schedule this. You can literally take it whenever you want after your requirements are met. So it's flexible that way. And so how you get to the exam is you first, and everybody should do this, during this first 11 months, everybody should do this, and probably sooner the better, but you want to register yourself as an IBA candidate. Because then as you meet the requirements, all of that information, all of those requirements are updated in your online platform. Your supervisor agreement, all the supervision, practice hours, documentation, the skills testing, everything is within the platform. And once all of those are met, then the exam button and process opens itself up, and that's how you actually kind of physically get to the exam.
Yes, and the pattern is going to be like the BA-CB exam, sort of similar.
Yeah,
Like there are no sample papers, that sort of thing,
yeah, that's
for
right.
IBM.
Yeah, I have so I took the BACB exam in 2002 and it was pencil and paper. So for me, it is much different than the BA or the BCBA exam was. But yes, the format and overall structure of the way that the BCBA exam works is the same. They currently have 175 questions on there, but only 150 are graded. 25 of those questions are used to obtain other item level psychometric data so that they can use that information for their next version of the exam. But yes, there's some of the questions are very straight, kind of definitional. Some of the questions are you read a little vignette, read a little situation, then it asks questions about that type of thing. So the goal of the exam is not to see if people can memorize definitions, right? The goal of the exam is, can you apply those concepts the way that you'll have to when you're an independent practitioner? I've gone into situations, and this is when you kind of think back about it, you do go into situations that seem familiar and it's the same type of problems or same type of things that you're doing. But probably half the time, you don't. They're new. It's a new issue. It's something you haven't faced before. And you have to apply these concepts and our theoretical understanding of things and our history and experiences to this new problem. So the exam gets at some of that also. So there's application questions as well.
Yes, and the ethics portion, I think it's a little different.
I think the ethics portion is probably a lot different. We have a very strong focus on ethics. It's one of the three pillars that we have at IBAO. That's confidence, ethics, education. And the BACB does too. The difference, I think, and there's equal weight probably, but the difference is that the BACB's ethical code is very specific. In many cases, it is a list of things that you have to do and many things that you can never do. It's very black and white. Ours is not like that. Ours allows individuals to apply it in the different contexts that they're in, and the outcomes and the choices that are made, both of which can be ethical, can be different. Because ethics are context related, right? It's hard to say this is something you always have to do because there's almost in this field, there's almost no instance of something that you want to always do or something that you never want to do. It always kind of varies a little bit. So we, I don't think we have as many questions on very specific, what do you have to do type things. It's more just an appreciation that the guidelines, and our IBAO has kind of aspirational guidelines. These are things that you should know, you should be familiar with, and you should apply as best you can in your professional practice. So that section is probably quite a bit different. I don't know if people would find it easier or not. They might, because it's less specific, maybe memorization of codes. We don't have questions like that. I don't think. It's probably slightly more general from the ethics perspective from IBAO.
Mm. Yes, because I remember memorizing the code number and what it said. Okay, so we have a question in the chat box. What made you write your first book related to ABA? Or I would like to say, choose ABA as a field for yourself.
Um, well, I ended up so when I was in undergraduate, my interests were really more in the experimental analysis of behavior. I was really attracted to the very basic research that I was learning about. I was friends with some of the graduate students who were doing theses and dissertations with rats and pigeons and monkeys and this kind of thing. So I ended up volunteering to help out in a rat lab that our university had. And I just really, I really thought that was the path, the kind of the career path that I was going to take. I wrote an honors thesis in my undergraduate program that was experimental analysis of behavior kind of related. But then in my junior and senior years, I also had these experiences of applied behavior analysis, working at a couple summer camps and little internships with children and adolescents, some with developmental disabilities, some with ADHD and things like that. And I really got to see a different perspective on applying the same things that you see in a laboratory to help kids. And you could do this in their sunshine. You weren't in like a dark little laboratory with, little beeps and wires and all this kind of stuff and animal cages and things like that. You actually got to help. And it seemed like there was for obvious reasons, I guess, but there was a better appreciation that this science is changing things to actually improve lives. And that was, very, very attractive. So I kind of changed my passion and what I wanted to do from the more kind of basic experimental side of our field to the more applied side of our field.
Wow, that's amazing because we don't hear that a lot in Pakistan. Experimentation, it all starts from US basically and spreads everywhere around the world. So we have, like we will grow more researchers here as well, inshallah. Okay, so about do you guys have any question in your mind you can ask right now from Dr. Mueller? Anything you want to clarify related to? Yes, Hiba, would you like to ask something? Yes, this is one question which I got. Hiba is asking that I am due to give my IBT exam. Can I still register for IBA on your website?
Yes, you can. The reason I'm saying that sort of hesitantly, I will explain. You can. The short answer is you can. If you do, though, you have to register with a different email address. It'll create a separate account for you. So you'll have one IBT candidate account. You'll have one IBA candidate account. So that's possible. If you do want everything under one account, then after you obtain your IBT, there will be an option in your dashboard to register as an IBA candidate. But if you do it separately, those two things can't be joined together, which is not the end of the world. You just have two accounts. But if you do want them for convenience purposes, single login reasons, that type of thing, then it would be better to wait until you pass the IBT exam, and then you can do that through the dashboard. And what that does is it creates an IBT section of your dashboard and an IBA candidate section of your dashboard. So you can continue to, upload the requirements to maintain your IBT if that's what you want to do, and also simultaneously upload the IBA candidate requirements.
Okay, thank you so much for that guidance, because a lot of people had confusion there. And one more question I got from in the chat box is from Saira Imtiaz. She's asking if doing IBT or IBT or RBT is going to be helpful in achieving IBA certification. This is what she's asking.
I would think so. Yeah, a lot of people have a lot of people kind of use the RBT, IBT experiences as a stepping stone to becoming an IBA. And I think those are valuable experiences. It is, if you think about becoming an IBA and never having that experience, it's a little different than if you go to try to supervise somebody and you've never had that particular role. You haven't felt the pressures, you haven't juggled materials and data sheets and you know, child behavior issues and all these kind of things that are pulling you all kind of different ways. You can, and you can probably do, you know, be a very, very good supervisor, but you might be lacking part of that experience, right, to help you relate a little bit better. It's certainly not a requirement. You can excel as an IBA without having that experience. Many people do. But some people, I think, you know, with very, very conscientiously maybe take a year or two and put themselves in that role, and then develop a sense of, okay, I want the next aspect of this. So I think it would be helpful. I mean, I personally feel like any experiences that we can get in this field are helpful. I've had the opportunity to work with older adults, younger adults, toddlers. I've seen and had experiences and provided services in group homes and institutions and schools and people's homes, uh, different cultures, different countries. I think all of those different experiences help the next experience. So my personal feeling about it is if you have the opportunity to do anything in this field, even if it's a little different, right? Pediatric feeding or toilet training, or, you know, working in an area that you're kind of unsure about, unfamiliar about, those are the opportunities that you should take and learn about. Whether you change your kind of career path with that or not, it doesn't really matter. But getting those experiences is helpful. So I personally feel like all of these things are relevant and helpful. So yeah, if you have the opportunity to get that experience before you become an IBA, I think it would be good for you.
Yes, thank you so much for that complete answer. Okay, Miss Sadia wants to ask something. Sadia Abbas. Yes, go ahead, Sadia.
Hi, ma'am.
Hello.
Hi, sir. Sir, my name is Sadia Abbas. Sir, my question is this. As I'm going to appear in IBT exam, and Alhamdulillah, I'm appeared with IBA as well with you. So I want to know about IBT. After the exam, if I will appear in next week in exam, and when I will clear my exam, so we can get job as we can work as a IBT, or we need to work first as an assistant of IBT or assistant of behavior therapist. Because as before, in Canada it was not accepted, but right now Miss Alia told me that now Canada is also accepting IBT. So there is some confusion, like if I will apply for directly behavior therapy, so will they accept my profile, or they will ask to first work as a assistant behavior therapy, then we will provide you this opportunity.
That's a good question. So overall, when you get that IBT certification, there are no other training or other requirements. There are requirements to maintain it, right? You need to be supervised, and in order to renew the certification, you have to obtain CEUs over the next 2 years. But IBAO does not have any requirements that you have to serve any kind of assistant role or any associate role. You are ready when you get that IBT. You are ready to serve the role of an IBT. In Canada, specifically in Ontario, Canada, they have developed through their board of psychology a specific province level certification and licensure for behavior analysts. And because they've done that, the BACB has said that once that deadline or starting line or deadline, however you want to look at it, starts, when July 1st of 2024 comes around, any BCBA, BCBAD, BCABA in Ontario will automatically be put on involuntary active status. They're basically losing their BCBAs. That's not the case for RBTs, but RBTs can only be supervised by BCBAs, so they're essentially not going to be able to maintain it either because they won't have any appropriate supervisors. So Ontario does not have that same issue with IBT because IBTs can be supervised by BCBAs. We can be supervised by licensed behavior analysts like in Ontario. So some of what you're asking is answered there, but some of what you're asking also depends on the organization that might be hiring people. Because I've heard, not in Canada, but in different places that someone shows up, for instance, as a new BCBA, the organization will treat them as kind of a junior type person and still make them learn the roles and ways and responsibilities of the organization. IBAO does not have those requirements, but if an organization does, that's beyond, the scope of what we can address.
Thank you, Dr. Mueller, for this detailed information. And one more question, which I'm going to summarize. These are actually three similar questions in chat box. Is how do you see IBAO in future? Progressing in future globally. What is your vision for IBAO?
Well, there's probably a couple different answers to that. I mean, our vision from the beginning was to provide opportunity where it hadn't existed before. And that means a couple different things. Technically, the BCBA, the BACB certifications were technically available everywhere from 1998 to 2020. But even though they were technically available, they were so restrictive in so many ways that people couldn't obtain them. So it was kind of like they were theoretically available, but not really practically achievable for many, many people. What we tried to do is create a system that made certifications in ABA not just theoretically available, but very practically available and practically obtainable. And one of those things, and you all are a product of this vision, is to change the way that you can obtain the education, right? To change, from requiring a master's level course sequence, which in the US on the less expensive side is probably $12,000-$15,000, to making it available in the knowledgeable hands of professionals who have this information, like your current instructor group. But it doesn't have to come from a university, right? So now we've opened up the possibility of people obtaining the education. And we've done this with, supervision, education, where you get the required educational objectives, supervisors, continuing education. All of this was developed based on the current, barriers and obstacles people around the world were facing to get the BACB certifications. So we're seeing that happen, right? This group is an amazing example of that. I don't think in the history of your country there was ever a group of 25 people in a cohort obtaining a BCBA. It wasn't possible. It would never have been possible. Occasionally have someone, go to the US study, come back, someone else goes, but a cohort of 25 people, right, on this path right now has never been able to happen before. And we're seeing these same kind of things all over the place. Here, India, Romania, and places in Russia, and China. All these places around the world are going through this kind of ABA revolution. And so it's starting to take hold. We're starting to see the products of this. So we hope in the future that it continues. It's hard to predict, you know, what it will be or what it won't be, but our vision is to, you know, for as many people as possible to adopt these standards so that what it means to be a behavior analyst in Pakistan is the same thing that it means to be a behavior analyst in Australia or Singapore or Vietnam or in the Czech Republic or Lithuania or Estonia. We had someone from Estonia pass the IBA exam today. So the idea of, you know, a global standard makes it easier for people who want to travel from place to place. Because I think the real problem, if everybody develops different standards, because the different standards change over time, and they have to change over time. But if you have 80 different standards changing at different rates all over the place, what it means to be in this profession where you are is not going to be the same as what it means to be this profession somewhere else. And everybody collectively kind of loses out when that happens. So we're going to continue to push for, you know, ethical and culturally relevant practice standards that people can adopt and should adopt, both nationally and internationally.
Yes, Dr. Mueller, and I would like to add that, when I came into the ABA field, I just came in for the love of science because I wanted to learn more about it. I loved the ways it helped children. So mostly people get this question like in their mind that what is going to be our future career? How is it going to help us in our career in ahead? But believe me, if you are just going for the love of science and going for the knowledge, then it will automatically, give you more opportunities in future. This is what I believe.
I agree. I agree. And it's really, really important to remember that that first A in ABA is applied, right? There's another entire literature base that's the experimental analysis that everything that we have is based on. This is an application of a science. And sometimes I think we kind of get into the habit of just considering our roles as service providers, right? We have a limited number of things that we tend to do from day to day, and we just kind of keep doing these things. And it's not the attitude I think that you have, appreciating the scientific background of this, the database, evidence-based background of this, and how it can be applied in so many ways is the more valuable outlook of what it is we do. So it's important. It's important to make sure that, you know, you understand and learn the basic principles of this field in a very basic way, not in an applied way. Learn them in a very basic sense first, and then you can apply them in a multitude of ways after that.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so one question more in the chat box we have is how many attempts can we have for IBA exam?
Currently, there is no limit. There will be at some point, and I'm guessing because this decision is not mine, these are made by groups within the Professional Advisory Board, but the way it works right now is there really technically is no limit. Obviously you want to pass the first time. We want you to pass the first time. Sometimes that doesn't happen. You take it again. So if someone doesn't pass their first time, there's a mandatory 30-day wait period. Allows you a chance to consider the areas that you didn't do as well on, refocus some study for at least 30 days. So when you retake it, you're a little better prepared in those areas that may have dipped a little bit. But currently there's, an unlimited number technically. That might change. It won't change over the next year, but it could be the case that it could change in the future. And again, these aren't my decisions, so I'm being very, very speculative. But my guess would be there would be at least 2, if not 3, before someone might have to pay a retest fee or something like that. Currently, there are no exam fees. What you pay in the registration includes the exam, retake, whatever. But it's possible in the future that could be limited until another fee is paid. But that we haven't even those discussions haven't even happened yet. And when they happen, whatever the decision is, we'll give everybody plenty of lead time to adjust for that. So hopefully that helps. But
that's a real relief for many people right here, because they are very nervous about exams, and they say that, will it be charged if I try to attempt again? But I would encourage everyone to study really hard and try to pass the first time. This is so great.
In the US, or maybe that's not even fair, but in the kind of the BCBA system, and maybe you can speak to this if you have kind of a similar experience. There's the process it's so common that the process really has been you get the ABA education and coursework, much like what you're doing now. You get the practice and supervision, so you're technically, for the BCBA, you're technically ready to take the exam. And then people tend to purchase and use these study aids, behavior development solutions, study notes, ABA, central reach. There's so many now that are geared to practice, like practice test. Like, so you might take a practice test and it'll show what you're doing really well on, what you need to study a little bit. And then it includes kind of a programmed, practice support where you study these areas. There's, different mock exams and questions and explanations, and it's a very focused study program for the exam. And there are pretty good data showing that people who use those pass more frequently the first time than people that don't. There currently are no IBA specific exam prep programs. But I would suggest that, with the exception probably of the ethics part, which is up to you, if you want to study that part from the BACB or not. But those types of BCBA study prep programs would be very helpful if someone is still in doubt about their knowledge and readiness for the exam after they've met all the requirements to take it.
Yes, definitely. Okay, Dr. Mueller, with your permission, I would like to just share a little quick things about our program, because it's an orientation. So I would like to share my screen now. Okay. So I made a little presentation about our coursework, basically, which I would like you all to look at it. It's an international behavior analyst program. Registered with the IBAO. And this is all about founder and director of IBAO, Dr. Michael Mueller. This is a little bit of information about me in front of your screen. Our social media links, our website, everything is there about me. And we would like to acknowledge contributions of great scientists in the field of applied behavior analysis, including Skinner, Thorndike, Watson, Ivan Pavlov, Cooper, Heron-Hayward, and many more. The list is endless. The books we are going to use is Applied Behavior Analysis by Cooper, Heron, and Hayward. And the second book is Behavior Modification, Principles and Procedures, 6th edition by Raymond G. Miltenberger. I really like the second book, Behavior Modifications. Why? Because it is, in a simplified form. It discusses the concepts very well with examples. So I would suggest you guys to use this book first, and then you are familiar with the concepts first, then you can go ahead and go for Cooper book, because it's a little bit complicated for you to understand initially. So this is the second book which I would recommend more. Our program is designed to cover 270 hours of coursework, which is a requirement to become an international behavior analyst. And these are few benefits of our program. Basically, you progress from from a basics to advanced level. So basically, you are trained to design, implement programs, monitor progress, make decisions based on data, and train and supervise others. This is a little comparison between these two credentials, international behavior therapist and international behavior analyst, and look at the amount of effort which an international behavior analyst has to make. You need 270 hours of ABA coursework instead of 40 hours. You need 1,000 hours of practice and supervision, under supervision, instead of 300. You need 50 hours of supervision instead of 10 hours for IBT. You need candidate skill testing, master's or a bachelor's degree you need for international behavior analyst. And for international behavior therapist, the requirement of degree is intermediate education. CEUs are continuing education units. This question I also get a lot about CEUs. These are basically designed to help you keep updated in the field and to revise concepts, because you tend to forget ABA concepts, and CEUs are there for initial certification and renewal. And finally, the ending exam, 150 items online exam as compared to 75 items IBT exam. So this would be our plan. These are 4 semesters. Each of this semester is of 16 weeks and equivalent to 45 hours of instruction. Total duration is 11 months, and we will have small breaks between semesters, 1 week break, just so you guys can refresh, because everyone needs a break from studying. And we will have weekly live meetings. Students will be required to complete syllabus book readings, chapter readings, which will be assigned to you, journal articles, discussion posts, relevant videos, and other materials. Everything will be assigned to you on your classroom, and you have to submit that within 1 week of assignment, so that we are not delayed. If you get delayed, then your marks will be reduced. Then this is our grading criteria. This is not the IBO grading criteria, basically our grading criteria, so that to make sure that you are working really hard. Assignments will be graded weekly, and their marks will be contributed towards total. Quiz and assessments are at the end and mid of each semester. So there will be a major quiz as well as a project at the end of each semester, which you have to submit. Timely submission is mandatory. Note that point. And missing late attendance or assignments will result in automatic failure in those relevant. So we are not going to pass you unless and until you have achieved this criteria. 50% weekly live meetings plus assignments. This weightage is for that. Assignments, weekly assignments and weekly meetings. You have to attend those meetings. And 50% is the ending class project and exam, which is ending semester project, basically. So total passing criteria is 70%. You must at least get this marks to succeed in our exam. And these are the course modules, which I have posted on social media as well. Briefly, here I have wrote it. Program modules, core concepts and principles, measurement and data collection. Experimental design, I was thinking it's a little bit difficult, so maybe I can move it a little, later in the coursework. And then behavioral assessment, teaching methodologies, behavior change procedures, and lastly, ethics and professionalism. This is the timeline which we are going to complete everything, inshallah ta'ala. So supervision related, if you want to see, also I can share this. This is the IBO guidelines. Basically, implementation hours, you have to complete 400 implementation hours, 400 programming hours, and 200 additional. This could be either implementation or programming hours. So implementation hours means direct services which you are giving the clients, and programming hour means all of this data collection and writing programs and report. These are the acceptable activities for the programming hours. Observation and data collection, training other staff and caregiver, conducting assessments, meeting with clients, behavior analytical assessment, data graphing and analysis, research literature, writing, revising programs. So basically anything you can find, literature articles, podcasts, anything, this is all included in programming hours. And your direct service delivery is included in direct implementation hours. Thank you so much. This was a brief overview of our program.
That's lovely.
And
Yeah, that looks like it's right on point with the expectations. I wish everybody great success, truly.
thank you so much, Dr. Mueller. We have taken a lot of your time. I know it's a little late in US.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time here with us.
Thanks
And,
again. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful, successful next 11 months. Study hard and work hard. And I hope to see you all in the future. Thanks again for the invitation.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much, Dr.
sir.
Mueller.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you so much.
everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.